So it's been 3 weeks, just over, since we launched Sea of Thieves, right? Quite an intense time, I think, for the studio.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a point at where we've launched this game, this place we've always wanted to be, but now it's a time to see how are players interacting with their content, what are some of the top feedback points, and then how does that affect our plans going forward, right?
Indeed, yeah. And what we want to talk about today is our plans moving forward, right? So, we've heard a lot of everyone asking, like, what are your plans for content? How do you plan to grow the game? And in the last couple of weeks since launch, since we kind of had our week of launch where it was all just make sure it's stable, make sure it's working as we expect. It's then been, okay, what's the top feedback points, like you say? How are people playing?
Yeah.
How does that feed into our content plans moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, this is it, right? I mean, we've always had, of course, as we're building a game, we've got a view of how we want to take the game forward. But I think we're in this different world now where we have this huge audience that's playing our game, and they've got different player types. They're playing the game in different ways, and we've had our view on how we wanted to take this game forward. But I think now it's about working with the community to bring the right things in at the right time.
So when we're looking at our plans, in terms of bringing stuff into our content plans, there's a few filters we put on things, right? When we look at like new ways to play for players, that's a way we want to grow and update the game. Like we always want to give kind of new goals, new rewards.
Yeah, more kind of incentives to kind of go and have these adventures in the world. I think that's important as well.
Yeah.
And I guess ways to enrich the world.
Yep.
So while you're out there having these adventures, there's more things that can engage you and surprise you while you're out there having these awesome voyages.
Yeah, and we always want to kind of bring players together in interesting ways as well. Like we're always trying to encourage those different kind of player encounters.
That's right. Yeah.
And ultimately, I think just overall, broaden the kind of the journey to Pirate Legend, so the way that you can become a legend and stuff, right? So giving different options, different ways to kind of progress on that journey, and then from Pirate Legend as well, broaden that journey to beyond, right?
Exactly.
So that's how we kind of select stuff that goes onto our roadmap, and then I think as important as that is also the cadence in which we plan to kind of update the game and give players new things to do. And really we can divide that into two sections, I guess. One of those is weekly events.
I mean, we've always kind of talked about that idea that Sea of Thieves is this ever-changing place, and I think this is where these events come in, which is it week on week, changing the things you can go and accomplish in the game, and having these like challenges to go and accomplish, and ways to showcase the new content that we're adding to the game. I think that's what's so important about this consistent rhythm of events that we add to the game.
And then alongside those, which are always going to give players like new goals and rewards, like you say, introduce new mechanics and stuff, and we'll touch on the details of those in a bit, I think, is these kind of larger content updates, right? Yeah. And so the first of those in our plan is the Hungering Deep. Yeah, that we're bringing in May to players. So the Hungering Deep introduces a new AI threat to Sea of Thieves, right? Yeah. And what we're trying to do here, though, above just introducing that AI threat, we want to try and encourage players to interact different ways, right? And so trying to bring crews together around this threat.
That's right. I mean, this is a new AI threat that can threaten you while you're out there in the world having these adventures, but at the same time we want to showcase in a cool and interesting way. So when this new AI threat is added to the world, it comes with a new item. It comes with a new way that could bring crews together and bring players together, and also new things to go and achieve and new things to go and unlock. But again, reflective of their approach is that when we introduce something like this, beyond that it becomes a permanent fixture in the world, but it's showcased in a really cool and interesting way first.
Yeah, we're giving players a goal that they've got to go and kind of work with other crews to kind of almost uncover this threat in the world.
That's right.
And then there are some other tools that come with that help with communication with other crews and stuff, right? I think just gives players something. It's a different way to play, really, around this, right? And it'll be a timed kind of event that this will be present for. Right. There'll be some cool stuff we're going to do around it a little bit before, a little bit of teasing around it and stuff. There's going to be some fun stuff to look out for there. But then, that is now present in the world. Like once that kind of event ends, everything we've introduced there is now also just there to enrich the world.
That's right.
Those items, those mechanics, plus this new AI threat in the world is now just a part of Sea of Thieves.
Yes, yeah. Right. But everyone's going to have the value when they go and play the game.
Yeah.
Play the game.
Yeah. And then we transition to our weekly events strategy before we kind of get towards the next content update. It's about now doing weekly events in Sea of Thieves, and there's many different ways we want to kind of do events, right? Some is introducing new mechanics to the world in a cool way that really kind of maximizes the value and gets as many people using it and understanding it's arrived.
Yeah, that's right.
Some is like perhaps introducing a new way to play, right? So like within an existing trading company, you could be adding a completely new way to play for players, you know, to help enrich that journey towards Legend. And some is just reusing cool things in the world, or the world we've already got, or some of the mechanics we've already got, right? We've got this beautiful world to explore, and arguably there's not enough reasons and motivations to really go out and explore, and people find these amazing underwater caverns or underwater ruins or hidden caves and stuff. And you know, it's really fun to go and find that, but then it's like you kind of feel like you should be getting a reward for going there, right? So introducing like a hidden treasures event where like an NPC will tell you maybe they've lost some stuff in the world or someone's stolen it. You've got to go out and find it, and gives you that real reason to explore the world, find these treasures.
Yeah, and maybe bring areas of the game that haven't been into play really yet. Like we've got this beautiful underwater world, and like you say, there's the reefs and there's those little rock structures below the waves. And I think bringing those areas of the game into play more, I think that's going to be our focus going forward as well.
Yeah, and so with these events, like I think you said, but there will be rewards, there'll be custom rewards, timed things that if you go and do them during this time period, you'll get exclusive stuff, right, for players. And like when you're doing events, you'll get rewards that help you progress within those existing events too. So this is, you know, if you've been working through the Merchant Alliance or whatever for ages, but you want to progress quicker in that, like by going and doing events that are kind of separate from it, we also want to help you progress in the to just for your path to.
I think that's right, and you're going to be doing it along the way, right? You could be out there, you know, on gold hoarder voyages, on merchant voyages, but you know, you've got these events in your mind as well that you want to seek and get progress in.
Yeah.
So it's more things that kind of enrich the journey that you're on.
Yeah, and so that's just an example of how we would use our existing world, right? But then if we were to introduce new mechanics, and one of our favourite ones that we're looking at right at the moment and we're working on is cursed cannibals, right? And so for us, introducing these into the world is just going to add a ton of variety to every session.
Well, this is right. I mean, we've already got a series of mechanics in the game that around resource gathering. There's obviously the simple things like the barrels on the islands. We've got the barrels that float in the water. There's shipwrecks. There's that little goal right now to go out there and resource gather for the good of the ship and for the good of the crew. I think any variety we add there is going to enrich that value, which means that when you come across another ship, you're going to know less about what they have.
Yeah.
I think adding more variety into the encounters between players, whether that's through cooperation or conflict, I think that's going to bring a hell of a lot of value to the game. You know, what's great about the weekly events is that it's a great way for us to announce the content rather than just doing a set of patch notes.
Yes.
We're announcing it through the world, right? We're announcing it by saying that it's around an NPC, it's around a new way to play, it's around a new goal to go and achieve.
Yeah.
So all of our players know that we're adding content to the game in a really cool way, rather than just saying, we've just added this thing, go find it.
Yeah. Another way that we want to reuse existing mechanics in cool ways for weekly events is something like skeleton thrones is another thing that we're looking at internally, which is adding a bunch of thrones around the world, right? Like in really hard to reach places that the skeletons are placed there because they like to sit at the top of
course they do. Of course they do.
Surveying what they believe is their kingdom.
Kings of the world.
Yeah. But just having an event there where we introduce this in the world, and now you've got to really just go and explore, find these things in the world, and then figure out how you're going to get up there, right? And go and sit in their thrones, take a selfie. But just generally, like that's the kind of stuff that we want to do when we're reusing kind of existing mechanics.
Definitely, and this is one of my favourites. I just love the fact that we're going to add these skeleton thrones and just finding them, seeing them up there in a high peak, spotting them with your spyglass, and actually getting to it is almost a reward in and of itself. But then actually rewarding it with something tangible. Yeah. So you're getting up there and you're getting it's a cool screenshot moment, but we're going to give you cool rewards in the game for being inventive and using finding yourself at cannons in new and interesting ways.
Yeah, like that's what we can do in our game, because there is so much variety with the tools that we already have, even without then going and adding the new content and bringing that stuff in. So our weekly events are going to be a mix of that stuff. Okay. But each time it's going to be something new. It's going to help you kind of progress on the journey to Legend. It's going to give you new rewards.
And I think these events that we want to run weekly, these are a way that we're going to be enriching the world week on week and getting that rhythm of these consistent updates where players are, hopefully always looking forward to what we're adding each week. But ultimately, these are building up to these larger content drops, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've talked about the hungering deep in as much detail as we can. And then the next one that we're heading towards is cursed sails, right? Alluding a little bit to what's in there.
Yeah, and this is another new AI threat that we're adding, right? This is a new thing that can engage you and your crew while you're out there having these adventures.
Yeah, quite different as well to what's in the hungering.
Yeah, I think that hopefully a little bit unexpected. I think that's why we want to be a little bit more mysterious around what that entails exactly.
Yeah. And there's also a new way to play for players, introducing a new ship type for players to play on.
That's right, yeah. And a new way for crews of different sizes to be able to have a slightly different experience and have more variety of just being out there and just seeing another different ship type out there.
Yeah. And obviously alongside that, it will bring kind of new mechanics, new features, just alongside that wrap it, and new rewards, new cosmetics, etc. for players. And then as we head towards the third one, which is Forsaken Shores, again alluding to what might be coming in that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about enriching the world, but I think this is a new area to explore. And we don't just want to add more of the same. This is something a little bit different, and we want this to feel much more perilous. So when you're going on a voyage into this new area, you really feel like you're taking on these extra odds, and it's going to be a new type of adventure that you can go and have.
Yeah. Alongside this more perilous kind of part of the world, we're also planning on introducing a new AI threat alongside that. That's very much themed to that part of the world. Right? Again, very different to what we're bringing in beforehand. So really trying to add that difference, that variety to the threats that you're going to encounter out there in the world.
Yeah, I mean, more of that fantastical that we love so much on Thieves.
And so that takes us kind of through summer, and then as we go head into fall and winter, we plan 3 more major updates during the rest of the calendar year, and all the while doing weekly events in between. And I think that another piece that's important for people to understand is that that's no extra cost when we add these. So our content updates, the weekly events and everything they're all available to all players, because we never wanted to do anything to separate players and give some people content that they can play with only them and then others. So that's never been our intent.
Absolutely. This is the start of the journey, so welcome aboard. The game is going to continue to grow and be enriched from this point onwards.
Right? Yeah. And it's really exciting. It really is to be now through our insider program, through the alphas, through the betas, through launch, and now we're looking at how we grow the game from this point on. And it's always been our plan all along to grow and evolve Sea of Thieves, to take feedback, to listen, and we are everywhere in terms of listening and watching and kind of hearing what people are saying, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the it is a privilege, and absolutely there's all these kind of inputs, whether it's I've got this addiction to Reddit now, and I'll read in our internal forums, the tweets that we get from people playing our game. I think all of this is a source for information, and players should expect that when there's a keen kind of appetite for things in the game, of course we're going to want to build content around those features, do so in a Sea of Thieves way, but at the same time, we're going to do things unexpected. We're going to do things that when we announce them, they're going to think, I can't believe they actually did that. I think that's the kind of balance that we want, where it's a mix of content that's, it's really cool, it's really obviously going to enrich the world, but also stuff that's really going to surprise and delight our players. I think there's going to be a real mix, but we're going to be constantly getting that communication from our players, no matter what the format. And this is their chance now to do what's always been our plan, which is to have this close relationship with players as we continue to build out the world of Sea of Thieves.
Cool. Yeah. So I think that's it. I think we've discussed what our plans are now, and we look forward to questions, feedback, and everything else on all of the different kind of channels and way that Mike talks about. So thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you out on the seas.
Thank you very much for watching. If you want to stay up to date with everything Sea of Thieves, then subscribe to our channel and click that little ship's bell for all those notifications. Cheers. Don't worry, I'll just wait here. I'm not doing much anyway. Couple of good videos there if you want to watch.